Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities and Miniatures, and it's time for another obscurity in literature that almost didn't happen. I've been super busy this week with a million things going on, and I felt guilty. I was going to put something else up, but then I thought, yeah, you know what, I really should do a video. So this was staring me in the face, and I'm like, I don't think I've ever actually talked about any of the Final Fantasy art books for 14. Let me state something very clearly. I have never played Final Fantasy XIV, nor do I really honestly have any intention of playing it. With that said, I absolutely adore the books that have gone with this game. I mean, just straight up. I've been on a big Final Fantasy kick lately, and I don't even know why, but I probably blame this most of all, and the various online app games on my phone that I'm always goofing around with. But this book in particular, you guys probably know I have a thing for art books, design books, all the stuff that goes into it. And I stumbled across this one a while ago at a book off, a Japanese used bookstore. They have them here in the States too. And I'm pretty sure this is one of the Japanese editions because I actually do own some of the American editions as well. And you could just see these are absolutely massive books. And while they do run a bit pricey because they've got online codes for the games, I highly recommend if you have any interest in designing stuff, and especially for you miniatures fans out there, these things are absolute gold mines. And if I could sculpt worth any kind of, level of quality that I could pull one of the things off in these books, I absolutely would. These things are just treasure troves of ideas for artists, for sculptors, and just fans of, I'd say, fantasy art in general. There's a lot to pour over. Let me start with this one, because like I said, this is kind of my favorite one. And this is from the Realm Reborn update, which is kind of, I guess, when the game, they had a bunch of things, like a major update in terms of graphics, design, all that junk. But when I say that these books are like my kind of book, first of all, every one of them, of the like 6 or 7 of these books, I think there's like 10 of them now. I don't own them all, but I own a good chunk. They always start off with some great new Amano art centerpieces for everything. And again, that's probably why I'm pretty sure this is the Japanese version. I don't recall much in the way of Japanese liner notes in the English ones I've got, or at least the ones that I got through Square. The other big piece is you've got plenty of Akihiko Yoshida artwork, the main artist for stuff like Final Fantasy Tactics, Tactics Ogre, Vagrant Story, a bajillion online gacha apps, Granblue. Oh shoot, there was like this old tower defense game that was like super predatory in terms of, pull rates and stuff. I can't even remember what it was called, but he did like all the artwork for that too. But so most of these books, and they all follow a pretty similar format. You've got just these big, gorgeous, full color painted illustrations of various types, kind of setting the stage for everything. They're great. They're nice. Moving on, there's some cool stuff in there. It's when you start to get a little bit into it that you get more of the actual artwork for a lot of the classes, the characters. That's all cool and dandy. But here's, I think, where the real stuff starts to shine, and you get more of the actual design work. And I don't know if a lot of the comments, like the liner note stuff on the sides of the page, are going to be translated in the English versions. Obviously, I have this book in Japanese. It does have a bit of English text translated at the bottom of each of these, not each of these, but a lot of the entries, but not all of them. Something to point out. And I don't know if it's like that on the English version, so you can see just various setups for armors, for clothing, page after page of weapon designs, and every book, every single book, at least of the ones I own so far, really follow that format. And there's some interesting armor designs. Like I said, if you were ever to want to go and just find some interesting stuff like the bear maw armor up here, I think that's an interesting looking one. I've always been a fan and sucker for heavy armor. Looking like something out of Garo or something here. course, there was a full-on Garo set at one point, I believe, in Final Fantasy XIV. So again, like I said, not all of the liner notes do get translated, or designer notes here. A fair chunk do. One of my issues with this book also, at least with the Japanese ones, seems to be that the pages are a lot stiffer. Various accessories. And you get into some of the pets, but come on, the best part of these are the monster designs, bar none. And every book has all sorts of them. Again, with lots of details about how the characters work. Early sketches, nice profile views of everything. I mean, some of these, I don't even know what half the stuff is, but it looks like stuff like Bloodborne. Various mounts. You get into the world building stuff, so some of the major areas. And what's really cool, I think, if you guys are interested in this, or just more Final Fantasy books in general, there were the Encyclopedia Eorza. I forget what the world was called. It's right there on the page. Eorzea. I'll get it right eventually. That actually goes into all the background lore. Maybe I think I'll do a specific video on that. It's a lot like, to me, the old Iron Kingdom books. But again, just tons and tons of sketch work, design work, monster early, workings. More art in the back. Update artwork. Like, this one doesn't have any of the interviews. Let me show you real fast. One of the English versions I've got. To me, I like these ones a little bit better, and I have been somewhat tempted to go back and actually pick up some of the ones that I already own in these softer covers. So, first off, the covers actually are a lot more foldable. But second, at least, maybe this is just the later books, you get these huge pieces for like a lot of the boss monsters or important things are swallowed up by the middle of the page, unfortunately. I think this is when they had the 2B near, crossover. But again, much like the other books, nice big illustrations for various characters that show up. I like that one of all the various monsters. Stuff that we need to see more of. Like I said, there's just neat designs in these. 13-year-old me would have had a field day with this stuff, almost as much as a modern day me. And again, we get a variety of locations, a variety of various weapon designs, a variety of attires, outfits. I mean, all the books are like this. You could pick up just about any of these mounts, and you're going to find all sorts of fun and inspiring illustrations in these. I swear some of these had some interviews. Maybe I'm just losing my mind. Maybe it's one of the other books. Anyway, I've got a lot of Final Fantasy art books, and I guess if you guys are interested, I know I have almost all of the Brave Exvius ones. If you're curious to see those, we can show those off another day. The still ongoing, how many years later, gacha game that they've been doing. I've got plenty of these as well. If you want to see more, maybe we can get those Encyclopedia Eorzea books on here one of these days, the Ultimania books. I've got a lot of Final Fantasy books. I probably have more books than I deserve to, because I've probably read those more than I have played the games at this point, for some of them at least. So I think if you're interested in any of these, I know I'm going to be keeping an eye on Square's website and seeing if they're going to be doing anything for like Black Friday or the holidays. Any interesting sales going on. That would be my recommendation for getting these, unless you're like in Japan. You can just get them through Amazon Japan, because it's going to be cheaper. But in the States, I've noticed that a lot of the resellers tend to jack the prices sky high, unless the online codes have already been taken out. And in those situations, the books tend to get really cheap. So it probably pays to go searching around, because I know like the Japanese ones I got didn't have the codes in them. Obviously, it wouldn't do me any good, and I'd probably just get rid of them and toss them or give them to somebody. But I got them super duper cheap because of that. So definitely, if you like these types of art books, I think there's a lot of bang for your buck in these, even if you get them full price and you get the codes and you're into the games and stuff. I think, but just as an appreciator of, modern Japanese, Asian aesthetic RPG style art, this stuff really is knocking it out of the park. There's some really cool gems in all the books I've got, and if you really want me to bust them all out one of these days, we could do that too. So I've been rambling enough. I'm going to wrap things up, and definitely do yourself a favor, because like I said, unless you play these games nonstop, and even then you probably forgot what half this stuff looks like, I have not encountered every bit of art in these books online yet. There's still stuff I can pop these books open months later and I'm like, oh, cool, I never saw that one before. There's that much stuff in it. So I think if that's your style, I think you're going to have a lot to enjoy here. So with that said, this has been High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities and Miniatures, saying thanks for watching, and we'll see you back here soon. Bye-bye.